So guys, just to give you an update on how the plants are doing now. This is the middle of the summer. This is one of my raspberry plants. It's extremely dry. There are some green parts of it here, but it's been extremely hot this summer. So I think I'm going to prune it and hopefully it'll survive. But let's see. Here are also some strawberries. They usually do quite well in this pot, but for some reason, I think because of the heat, they're not doing well. So I'm going to prune the entire thing and let's see if they're able to survive through the rest of the summer. I water the plants very often, so hydration is really not the issue. It's the extreme heat. This one didn't make it. Remember, these were foraged from the forest, and some make it and some don't. This one is still quite a healthy looking plant, but the leaves were dry, so I just remove those. These are my strawberries, the runners, looking really scraggly, so I'm gonna just trim those. Yeah, it's this plant, I don't know, for some reason it just isn't looking very healthy here. This one used to thrive, so I'm removing the dead ones here. The leaves have a life cycle, so partially the heat and partially just nature taking its course. So I'll just finish this up. Here is my window box with strawberries. I've harvested quite a few wild strawberries from this already this season, but I'm going to clean it up so that the newer leaves have room to breathe and the plant has space to put out new ones. These runners are also quite dry. Yeah, the heat did not treat them well, so I'm going to just trim them all. Usually I have hundreds of runners that I can replant, but we'll let those go. This is a very healthy runner here, or should I say a mature runner, but it's struggled with the heat, but I'm going to replant it in the soil. So I'll get the rest of this box cleaned up and show you how it looks when I'm done. These would have been strawberries, but the heat got them. Here is one of the pots with the blueberry bushes that I foraged from the forest. This is the second time I've foraged them and they don't seem to do very well. I'm not sure if it's a soil because I use regular composted soil and they may not like it. So I think I'm going to go to the forest and collect some soil from their natural habitat and maybe replant the ones that survived in there, because as you see it's very dry. The heat has a lot to do with it, but also I think just, they're not doing well, generally speaking. So I think I'm going to trim it. At some point, we'll get the soil from the forest, from their natural habitat, replant them and see if they like it any better. Here is my second blueberry bush. Okay guys, so this window box has my sunflower plants. It has a few tomato plants left here. I had removed most of them from this, and my bell pepper plants, and those are growing nicely here. And more tomato plants here. So I'm going to just clean up the base of the sunflower plant. The main sunflower plant has bloomed, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. It's on the downward phase of its life, and these other sunflowers didn't seem to have thrived as well. Again, we had a heat wave, so some days are really, really unbearably hot. If you can see, the big one up there is head down. The plant itself still looks healthy, but the flowers are drooping, possibly because its head is just too heavy. I read something online that said sometimes if they're creating seeds, sometimes that makes it even heavier, so we'll see. I don't know if that's the case. So these ones, if you can see, the leaves are a little bit discolored and not as healthy as the big one there. I think they really struggled with the heat. I assume that's what it is. You can see this one is really very damaged looking. So I'll remove those. I'm no sunflower expert. Again, these were from the handful that I was eating. I decided to plant some and was very happy to see that they produced flowers. So this is one of the sunflowers. It's really tiny. The plant is about maybe 2.5, 3 feet tall as compared to that other one that's really about 4 or 5 feet. So this one is blooming. It's sort of on the drier side too. Again, they struggled. This one, let's see if we can get a better view here, is blooming as well. It's really pretty, but it's very dry looking, not as healthy as the other one was. This is my tomato pot. I combined majority of the tomato plants into this one pot. I've harvested a few. There's a few on there. I'll do a close-up. But for now, I'm going to just be pruning off the dead leaves to freshen it up a bit. Here's a little tomato coming out. This is a combination of beefsteak and cherry tomatoes and grape-sized tomatoes and medium round tomatoes, so all different kinds of species. And some more tomatoes and more blossoms here. So this is my second pot of wild raspberries and wild strawberries, and as you can see, this branch is super healthy. We have some other ones that have some really dried leaves, again from the extreme heat. This is actually a rose plant, a wild rose plant that I had from last year, I believe, if not the year before, and it's doing well. I think I'll just let it stay here in this pot, but come next season I'll move it to another plant with another rose that I'll show you in a minute. So I'm going to just trim up the dry leaves. We have some runners here. I'll trim those and maybe plant them if they look healthy enough. This is strawberry runners. I picked a few raspberries. This one is ripe here, but it doesn't look very substantial. Again, the heat really took its toll. So I'm going to trim it up and probably secure this to a stake here so that it's not hanging on the ground or going to get damaged if it gets windy or anything. So I'll secure that one. Pruning it also helps the new leaves to thrive. So guys, I just wanted to show you the blossoms. So there you see the sort of a raspberry forming there, and the other blossoms unfortunately are dry. Here's another batch of blossoms that have unfortunately dried, but I'm going to leave them on the plant no matter what. Another cluster, this one has the ripe raspberry there. This one looks like it's forming something, I'm not sure, but this one looks on the dry side. Here's another one, another blossom. There were quite a few, but I assume the heat overpowered them. So here's my third pot of raspberry plants. This one again is also, many leaves are quite wilted. At the base of it I do have some strawberries as well, so I'm going to clean this one up. I try to keep these as much as possible in the shade on my terrace, but even without direct sunlight, the heat takes its toll on them. So I've salvaged these runners from my other pot there, and I'm going to just stick them in this pot because it has a lot of room at the bottom here. So I'll just push the little roots right into, I'm going to trim off this excess stick here. It's just, that's what they look like, and I'm just going to stick it in the pot here. So these hopefully will flourish and bear some nice, yummy strawberries. That's how simple it is, guys, to replant runners. And my strawberries produce hundreds of runners each season. I don't have enough pots to plant them in, but there's never any shortage. Some plants naturally die over time, and I truly don't need to go foraging in the forest for any new plants because they produce their own offspring. I have a few left that I'm going to plant in my window box with the other strawberries. So here is my avocado plant. I'm quite happy with how it's growing. I water it maybe every other day because the soil gets really dry. It's putting out some new leaves here, as you can see. And these leaves are so big and healthy. Eventually I'll have to move it to a different pot, but for now we'll just let it grow as much as possible. In the winter I'll have to bring it indoors, and it'll make a nice leafy indoor plant by my window or my door that gets natural sunlight. So here I have my smaller avocado plant. I gave it some water this morning, but as you can see, the leaves are dry, and I'm going to just trim those off. This is definitely heat related. And this part here is a little brown, so I'm going to see if I can get rid of that part of the stem. Trim that off. I'm going to trim this leaf here. It's putting out some new leaves, so yeah, let's see how it does over time. Here's my thyme plant. This looks a little bit not so healthy. It was looking healthy the other day, but I think the heat really got to it as well. So I'm going to try to find a cooler part of the terrace to leave it. Here is my pot with my wildflowers, just the random wildflowers. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit here. Some of these are annuals, so once they bloom, they just die. So whatever I can salvage, I will salvage. This is a pretty purple flower one that I had showed you in my last video. Those flowers have all dried up now, so I'll just prune those off. This was that other one that looked like a water lily type thing. It's not a water lily, but it had that sort of shape. The flowers on here are all drying as well. So let's trim those off. So here is the pot of the wild rose cuttings that I did. They don't seem to be doing very well. However, this was that plant that I got the full root and it's thriving, thankfully. I have another wild rose in my other pot that I think I showed you. So once the season is over and maybe after the winter, I'll plant them together here. I don't want to disturb that other pot because they seem to be doing okay in there. So I'm going to trim this one up. These cuttings more or less seem dead. Look, this has some nice new leaves coming out. I don't know if you can see the difference. This is a darker green, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to see how this one does, if it eventually puts out leaves. So this is the last pot I have. This is my noni bush. Someone suggested that I needed another noni bush to help to get it to bear fruit. I don't know about that, but we'll see here. Look guys, I don't know if you can see, there is a spider climbing on the noni bush. It's a little bit windy. He's taking a pause for the cause. At the base of it is my strawberries. And I have to say that this pot is the one that bears the most fruit next to the window box. And these I've had for years. They come back every year. See, this one has a little strawberry here. And I've been able to eat from it quite a bit. So let's clean this one up. We have a lot of dead foliage here from the strawberries. This, I think, is part of the noni plant. It's a new sucker, I guess you want to call it that, because the leaves look the same. And yeah, I only ever had the noni and some strawberries in here. So I'm going to clean this one up as well. We have a nice ripe strawberry there, and I picked some just 2 days ago. So let's get rid of all of these dead foliage here and give it some room to breathe. Okay guys, here's a runner and I'm going to trim it. So I'm just trimming off the long part here and just leaving that. And I'm going to just stick it in the same pot here. Keep the family together. It's not necessary, but I just want to do that since this one has some room in here. And here we have another one. It's a small one. And I'm just going to trim off this along here. stem of the runner, and then just stick that in to the soil here. I just poke a little hole with my finger and that's it. They grow very easily. And I just want to show you the lovely strawberries that are forming here. This one is almost ripe, but we have quite a few coming out. We have some more here, another one here. So this plant is very abundant with the fruit. So this is my bowl that's full of dried leaves and twigs from the plants. So here are the plants after pruning. Everything looks clean and somewhat healthier. This is the pot with the callalus and the what I believe to be lemon plants. This one did not need a whole lot of pruning. Everything was looking healthy as you see it here. So here you see the reddish stem of this callaloo. And the lemon plants, another callaloo plant. It's a different species. This is the one I got from the seeds from Jamaica. The other one I think was from some seeds of a callaloo plant that I salvaged from a store. Here is my window box with strawberries. A lot of these were plants grown from runners, so there's a lot of vines going back and forth here, but I cleaned up all of the dead leaves as best as I could. So this is what it looks like up close. See all those viney looking things? Those are some of the runner vines. Here on the left is a pot with the blueberry bushes, and the one on the right is what's left of the raspberry. Hopefully they'll bounce back. So here I have a new batch of cilantro, coriander seeds that I planted, and I covered it with plastic to give it that greenhouse effect so that the seeds could germinate really fast. And it's been about a week and a half, and yeah, soon I'll have some new yummy cilantro. As the last batch I planted, I was able to get a few cuttings from it, and then it died for some reason, maybe the heat, because it was on the terrace. But yeah, so I replanted some seeds here and can't wait to eat the cilantro. So there you have it, guys, my midsummer terrace garden update. How is your gardening coming along? Let me know in the comment section below the video. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified about new episodes.